June 23rd, 2019 is no longer just any other day on the calendar for me. It's the day that I feel like I was thrown into a waking nightmare and the path for my life was completely altered. I know that that day sits deeply in my body and it can sense when June 23rd is coming. It's the day that my younger brother Camden died, and it was a rather violent and unexpected death, which has made it especially hard. My name is Chelsea Willis. I am a bereaved sibling, as well as the founder and executive director of Monarch Meadow Care Farm. Cam was always so hilarious. He just would make everyone laugh. This ridiculous picture where we dressed up for competition in middle school. He pumped up his muscles behind with his fingers in this photos to make himself look stronger, and just always being a goofball. We both had really blonde hair when we were younger. My dad would paint our faces a lot when we were younger. So this is one of the ones when we got our faces painted randomly. He flew across the country to come to my college graduation too. This was really meaningful to have him there. Camden was the type of person with whom you felt comfortable immediately. I feel like it's the rare type of person who can both connect with you through humor and also be able to ask really deep and thoughtful questions. And he was able to do both of those things. I think that one of the things I love about him most is how he could always make me laugh. He had numerous jokes and his different mannerisms, and we really had some deep conversations as well. He was always so thoughtful. So this one on the front says, "I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have asked for a better sister." And then on the inside it says, "Well, actually I did when we were little, but Mom always said no. Congratulations." And then he wrote a heartfelt note in here. He also was an architectural designer, and he was working on a project in San Diego around when he died. And it was his first project that he was working on from start to finish, and he was so excited and pouring everything into this project. And unfortunately, he died 2 months before it was able to be completed. I know that he was also planning on starting his own architectural firm one day. He had created the logo and its name, and he also had hopes to start a family at some point as well. A month after my master's graduation, I ended up having to plan my younger brother's memorial service and think through what I was going to say to a crowd of people who would gather to remember him. This part in one of his notes before I went off to college says, "I'm going to be very lonely and sad without you here next year." And that one always makes me get a little tearful because that's how I feel without him here now. In early grief, I remember that very little soothed me. I recall moving in and out of complete numbness alongside extreme emotional overwhelm and my whole body just collapsing. At nighttime, when I would struggle to sleep and the details of my brother's death would be replaying in my brain, or I just had too much emotion to fall asleep, I would turn to grief books. And I found that the words of other people who had gone through similar experiences, even if it wasn't the death of a sibling, really connected with me and helped me to feel a little less alone. As I attempted to cope with this new reality, I really struggled to find support for bereaved siblings or for young adults. I will be forever grateful that I stumbled upon Care Farm in Arizona. They're a place for traumatically bereaved humans to come and receive support and care, and they also provide loving permanent homes to rescued farm animals. I had the privilege of being able to go and visit Care Farm as a bereaved sibling, and while I was there, I remember not wanting to leave. Although the pain of my grief continued, of course, while I was there, I felt like when I was present, I just could breathe. I could breathe in the ways that I could when I was hiking only a few months after my brother died. I could breathe like I could when I would visit my community garden plot, or when I would go volunteer at a farm and take care of the animals. I realized that my heart needed space, that my heart needed stillness and solace and some time for myself to just be alone. My body needed to move, even in just small, gentle ways. And I also needed connection, either just with myself or with other humans or even with non-human animals. I also needed to be with someone who could just sit with me, with my thoughts and my emotions and my experiences, without their own discomfort or their own agenda getting in the way somehow. The lack of compassionate support that I experienced from both counseling professionals as well as other humans in my life led to some deep shame and deep harm as well. A few years after Cam died, I decided in my role as an adolescent counselor to move to work with traumatically bereaved individuals. In my experience, I felt by others I was often misunderstood. I was told to mistrust my own instincts or reactions. Someone told me to just be grateful. And I really wanted to prevent added pain for other people because grief is excruciating enough and we don't need these unnecessary extras piled on top of it. I wanted to be someone to come alongside someone who's grieving and just be with them, whatever that looked like. No matter if their relationship with the person who died was really close and dear, like it was with my brother, or if it was maybe distant and really complicated. I also wanted to come alongside someone and hear how their person died in like the raw, unedited details. And for some people, they may not want to share that, and that's okay. But for others, it's important to be able to talk about this because in my experience, people either wouldn't ask or they would ask, but it would be kind of in like a voyeuristic way. And neither of those felt great to me. And I know that the details of how someone dies can haunt us. They can keep us up at night. But I also wanted to come alongside people and hear how their person lived, who they were, what they loved, and how their lives impacted them. One other thing, a story about Cam and something that represents his humor. So this was the license plate on his car. And he also really loved Starbucks, and he had his order that he loved there. And people would always struggle to write down his name on the cup, and they would never actually get it right. Oftentimes Camden would become Cameron or something that was not remotely close to his name. And this is one time what the barista heard Camden's name was, and so they wrote this on the cup, and he thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world, and he turned it into his license plate because that is who he is. He just, loves to laugh and loves to remember moments that made him laugh. I am not the type of person to start things or to dream up new ideas. And yet, as I've worked with traumatically bereaved folks, mostly in indoor spaces, this dream of starting a care farm in Massachusetts has just grown louder and louder inside my heart, and it's become impossible to ignore. Nature, animals, and a few humans have held me in my bleakest moments. And using Sella Care Farm's model, combined with my heart for youth and families and grieving and community, Monarch Meadow Care Farm was born. I know that this place would not exist if Cam hadn't died. And I also know that this is one way that I can honor Cam's life. I can honor his care for others, his vibrancy, his playfulness, and his dedication to what was important to him. My hope is that Monarch Meadow Care Farm can be a place of safety, of belonging, and relational connection. Both humans and animals desperately need restorative spaces. And as humans, we also need places where there are no judgments, where there's no timelines, where expectations are removed. And those might be our own expectations or the expectations of other people. But in my experience, I've found that I just need space to be with this death, to be with the pain, and learning how to live with this reality. If you are in the midst of your own grief, may you have compassion on yourself as you navigate a grief-averse world. And please know that you are not alone on this path, and many other humans and non-human animals are seeking you out, just as you may be seeking them. May you encounter one another somewhere else in the world, or even here at Monarch Meadow Care Farm, where grief and love